माननीय डीजी साहब, डीजी होमगार्ड साहब, माननीय महानायक साहब और अजीज दोस्तों, मिर्जा यावर बेग हम में से कुछ के लिए बिल्कुल नए हैं और कुछ उनसे बहुत पुराने शनासा हैं। इसमें मिर्जा यावर बेग साहब नेशनल पीस अकेडमी है और उनके पुराने शायर का शेर है कि मुझे पहले जब देखा था दिल कितनी जोर से वो वक्त में लौट के फिर आया। इसके बाद कई मरतबा ये मौका मिला कि मिर्जा साहब को सुना जाए और हर बार मिर्जा साहब को पहले से बेहतर पाया। तो सर ये डीजी लेक्चर सीरीज है जिसमें हम आमतौर पर पुलिस के मैटर्स से हटकर जो जनरल इशूज हैं उनके ऊपर बुलाते हैं। मैं मिर्जा साहब से दरख्वास्त करूँगा कि इसके ऊपर तो अपने ख्याल करें। स्लाइड चेंज
इससे आप ये समझ जा सकते हैं कि हम बहुत बूढ़े हैं और इसके आगे पता नहीं क्या आप सोच रहे हैं। It is a great pleasure to be in touch with friends for so many years, and there are some of the other batchmates, Ashok Baig there, other madam is there, and others, and so on. So it's a wonderful thing to be here. I took this, I suggested this topic for one reason, and I am speaking to you today, not in your official capacity or my official capacity, but in a capacity that is there for all of us, which is probably not top of the mind for many of us because we are involved in our other aspects of our lives. And that is being citizens of the world. I'm not even saying being citizens of our country, which of course we are, but being citizens of the world. And the reason I'm saying that is because we are one of the outcomes of communication and technology. As we hear many times, we say the world has shrunk. दुनिया छोटी हो गई। तो दुनिया छोटी होने का एक नतीजा ये है कि दुनिया के अंदर जो रह रहे लोग, हर नागरिक का, हर सिटीजन का रोल बढ़ गया है, बड़ा हो गया। बहुत बड़ी ऑर्गेनाइजेशन होती है, उसके अंदर एक आदमी छोटा, उसका कुछ रोल नहीं होता। छोटे ऑर्गेनाइजेशन में रोल बढ़ा जाता है। And that is what has happened to us. As individual citizens of the world, we have the potential to make a tremendous impact, irrespective of what we might be in our official capacities, whether it is in terms of government, whether it's in terms of business, and so on and so forth. I teach in several institutions, global institutions as well, and among them is of course the NP has been there for many years. I teach at the SSB Academy in Gwaldam. I teach at the what used to be the AP Police Academy, now it's the Telangana Police Academy. हम कहते हैं पहले अप्पा था, टप्पा हुआ। So that's strict there. Also at since for the last now just under a year at the Foreign Service Institute of the United States in Washington DC, FSI, which trains US diplomats and agency officials. So it's FBI, CIA, National Security, and those people. So therefore, the point I'm making is that with that perspective, I'm saying that the world has shrunk, and today I'll try and tell you what that means. Therefore, that's the reason I took this topic of standard bearer. Now, who's a standard bearer? We know from the military aspect of it, the standard bearer is the one who holds the flag. In cavalry forces, in infantry and so on, the standard bearer is the one who actually holds the flag. But in today's war, it's all machinery, so we don't see much of that. But if you look at medieval warfare and so on and so forth, then you will find there's somebody who's actually holding the flag. Now, what is unique about that person is that that person actually is not an active fighting soldier. He's not armed, he's not carrying a weapon. His primary responsibility is to keep the flag and keep it flying. And the reason the flag is very important, as you know, is that it has a huge impact on morale, of troop morale. तो जब सिपाही लड़ता है, तो वो लड़ते लड़ते देखता है कि हमारा झंडा भी ऊपर है कि नहीं है, लहरा है कि नहीं लहरा है, और अगर नहीं है, गिर गया है, तो उसका दिल टूट जाता है, and the troop morale suffers because the flag has fallen. That's the importance of the actual standard bearer. That's why I say that this is something that is a burden of love. It is not even something that one does for duty. Even duty, you might say, well, I don't really love it, but I have to do it. Not this. This is something that you do because this is you. I want to begin with this wonderful quote, and there is a link there. This presentation is yours, so do take a look at that. There's a wonderful documentary called Four Horsemen, which is it's a very long one, but it's worth seeing because, among other things, it also explains the global financial system, which I think is absolutely essential for everybody to understand. Because that is what actually runs the world. The world is run by the global financial system. Exactly, yeah, that's exactly. So that is the very, very important way. It's not run by politicians. Now, there's a wonderful quote in that which says that when plunder becomes a way of life for a group of people living together in a society, they create for themselves in the course of time a legal system that authorizes it and a moral code that glorifies it. A legal system that authorizes plunder and a moral code that glorifies plunder. I'm just reading a book by one of my very, very dear and old friends, Narendra Luther, who is now 80 years old, but he retired as Chief Secretary of AP. And he was from the first batch of IAS, when ICS became IAS, he's one of the first batch. Yeah. So he writes in his book, it's a wonderful book, those of you who haven't read it, you might like to buy it and read it. It's called A Bonsai Tree. Very nice book. So in that, just this morning I was reading it, and there's a wonderful quote. He's talking about, as a deputy collector, he went to a particular place, and he said there we stayed in a very nice suite of the palace of the local king. And he says it's very interesting that that small Rajwada that had a palace for the king. It had 2 polo grounds. The king had 3 cars. Those days we were talking about it, but no school. So he says this place, where it shows the extent of exploitation of the people. They had all of this, but no school. So this is what happened, and that's only one example, but we can see many, many examples of this in our world today. This is the second quote that I want to share with you, which is Maya Angelou is an African-American lady, author, poetess, all kinds of wonderful things. And she says, hate has caused a lot of problems in this world, but it has not solved a single one yet. And that's a very important thing for us to remember, because this is how the world runs. That's why news, I almost never watch television. And that's because there's so much of negativity that keeps coming that I get my news from other sources. So I don't have to watch that to get the news. So now I thought let me share with you some statistics, some numbers. So this is I don't know if you've read this book called The World According to God. So I am God in this. This is the world according to me. If I ask you this question, can you show me a way in which 1% of the world's population will hold 60% of assets? Suppose I give you this as a task, and I say, this is your job. Create a system where 1% of the population of this world will hold 60% of global assets, number one. Number two, the vast majority of the population who don't hold the assets must work willingly to increase this wealth and cornering of resources by that 1%. So we're not talking about 1% forcibly taking it by military power, we're talking about 1% making you give it willingly. And third one is that this big majority must accept less freedom, less security, less wealth, and less dignity for themselves. Supposing I give you this task and say, can you create this? You will say you are mad. This is a completely insane thing. Can't be done. In any case, it's totally immoral and, how dare you ask me to do something like this? I'm sure some of you will be seriously offended, and you should be if I ask you to do this. But the reality is that we have actually done that. This is exactly what we have already achieved. And that's why I began by saying We are equal global citizens. Believe me, whether you or I like it or not, we are responsible for this situation. Now, is this bad news or good news? I think it's good news, because this shows how enormously powerful we are. If we are so powerful as to give up 60% of the global resources to 1% of the population, it means we can achieve something. Maybe it's not what we wanted to achieve, but we managed to do that, which means that what we did, we can undo. We are capable of bringing about sweeping change, and we can actually change the world. Question is, do we want to? I want to define, this is how I define cancer. It's and I'll link this to why I'm saying that. It's a phenomenon where a few cells start acting against the interests of the rest of the body, leading to the eventual demise of the person. You know what is the absolute, you might say there's no cure for cancer, but I'll tell you there's one cure for cancer which is absolutely 100% successful. The cancer will die. You know what is that cure? The death of the patient. I don't know of any cancer that lives after the patient has died. Right? Is that a cure? That's what is happening to the world today. My friend Professor Madhukar Shukla, उनको भी आप बुलाना चाहिए, वो he's in XLR in Jamshedpur. That's his definition. Growth for the sake of growth is the philosophy of the cancer cell.
I would rather take note of it.
नहीं वो आपको बेटर Growth for the sake of growth is the philosophy of the cancer cell. That's what Professor Madhukar Shukla he says. I know that many of my friends from business schools and so on. You know, look at global corporations. I am a consultant to many global corporations, including GE. Growth for the sake of growth is the motto of every single global corporation. So here are some numbers. In terms of extreme poverty, 2013 figures, we are number one in the world. We are also number one in the world in terms of the disparity between the rich and the poor. In terms of, we are number one in both of these things. I'm sure we are not proud to say that, but that's the reality. Forbes and Oxfam figures show that 62 of the richest people in the world are worth more than the poorest 50% of the world population. 62 people. One bus is 65 seats, excluding the driver. So there are 3 seats in that bus which are still vacant.
They can put in a bus.
They can put in the bus. 62 people are worth more than 50% of the global population. And that's why this cartoon, which is not very funny if you think about it, says the gap between the rich and the poor is not as great as we thought. Now, solution to that. For example, in our country, one of the things that we like to talk about, and I've heard many statements from many people, we have today the youngest population in the world of any country. And we are likely to remain like that for at least the next 30 to 40 years. Right? We have, if I remember the figures correctly off the top of my head, we have 520 million, which is 52 crores of people under the age of 25, out of which 27 crores, 272 million are people between the ages of 10 to 19, which is school college. So if you take that figure, this is going to be for the next 30 to 40, and we are therefore young. We have a younger population demographic than any other country in the world, including China. Right? Now, is this good news or bad news? Now, off the top of that, you might say it's fantastic, great news. But I will say to you that it's great news provided what? Education and jobs. Remove these two, this is the worst news you can imagine, especially for you're sitting in police headquarters. You are going to have a very, within quotes, exciting time of your life. If these two things are not there, that's the Chinese curse, where you have an exciting life. Because what does that mean? A population of 52 crore people without jobs and without an education means a huge spike in crime, a huge problem with law and order. You can imagine, you've got a bunch of people sitting there doing nothing. But what is the state of our education? Again, figures. If you look at that whole list, software, engineer, IT, product development, think about this. 80%, roughly 80 to 85% of world computer technologists are Indian in origin. 80 to 85%. Right? I lived in America from 97 to 2000, and I used to do a lot of work in Silicon Valley. You go to Silicon Valley, 3 languages that you hear all over Silicon Valley. Guess which ones? Telugu, Tamil, Malayalam. You don't hear English. But ask one very simple question. If 80 to 85% of IT professionals are of Indian origin, name for me one global IT product that came from an Indian company. So what are we talking about? We're talking about Mazduri. And that is the problem with our business heads, IT company heads, who consciously took a decision to put ourselves and bet ourselves on pricing, not on quality. We never went in the area of creating prime products for which you could charge a premium. We said, buy from us because we are cheap. Result is what? Take our education. Software, engineers, IT, product development, employability of percentage of engineering graduates in different roles. 3.6% employable, which means what? 97% unemployable. Now, I did a rough average of all that. You know which is the highest one there? 40.5%, and that also is less than, and the other one is 37%. ITES operation. If I want to be rude, I can say answering telephone calls. That's it. But talk about creating services, talk about creating products, 3%. Now, what do you call an education which gives you 3% results? लड़के ने क्या किया, उस लड़की ने क्या किया, वो तो मेहनत किए, वो एग्जाम पास किया, वो कॉलेज में गए, वो 4-5 साल उन्होंने वहाँ पे लगाया, उसकी फीस उन्होंने दी। आपने कभी कोई गरीब कॉलेज ओनर को देखा है? कभी आपने देखा कोई गरीब कॉलेज ओनर है, गरीब स्कूल ओनर है, कभी आपने देखा किसी को? तो लड़कों क्या करती है? But you go to those colleges, it is tragic. I mean, I don't even know how to describe it. It is totally tragic. There are no lecturers, there are no teachers, there's nobody. Somebody just comes, वो कोई आता है, कुछ बोलता है, कुछ चला जाता है, but that's it. And then they give them a certificate later because they don't want to fail them because they look bad. उसको आता है, नहीं आता है, वो काम कर सकता है, नहीं कर सकता, वो जाने, उसका एम्प्लॉयर जाने, हमको क्या, आपको क्या लेना देना, हमने सर्टिफिकेट दे दिया, पास हो गया, चले जाओ, बताओ किससे? So we have a very young population, but we have an education system which is like this. Now, what is the solution? I don't believe in just talking about bad news. So there should be some good news as well. Solution, in my view, is very simple. And this, if there is a national policy on this, all power to it. But even without that, this is something which every one of us can influence to make it happen. And that's why I'm saying it to you, because all of you are in very seriously influential positions and you can make this happen. Number one, vocational and skill training in every single school, secondary and high school. Can be anything, carpentry, plumbing, you name it, any kind of skill or vocational training. What is the aim? The aim is that grade 12, class 12, when the student graduates, that student, he or she, graduates with a marketable skill, something they can do with their hands. Whether they actually employ it or not doesn't matter, we give them that when they leave. All schools, not only poor school, rich school, every school, give them a skill that they can use. Teach them how to convert that skill into a marketable thing, which is entrepreneurial development training, which, believe me, does not take more than about 2 or 3 days. That's it. And third one is, create a venture capital fund, a small fund for small businesses, which is interest-free, so that you can set them up if they want to go into that line of business. I'm talking about thousands of rupees, not even about lakhs of rupees, thousands of rupees. This is something which individually people like us can pull together the money and start a fund. It's as simple as that. जैसे मैं कह रहा था गवर्नमेंट से आ जाता बहुत अच्छा है, आने की जरूरत नहीं है, उसके बिना भी हो सकता है, हम खुद कर सकते हैं, हमको करना भी चाहिए. This is my issue. Why am I saying that? Two reasons. One is SMEs, small and medium enterprises, are the backbone of society. You know, I am a consultant to some of the biggest multinationals in the world. GE is one of them. And I'll tell you an incident which happened with me. When GE started, the first time GE Research Center started outside from Schenectady in New York, the first country they came to was India. So in Bangalore, they set up Jack Welch Research Center. It was brand new, just been inaugurated, and we were doing a leadership course, so I was teaching the course. So I was there, I noticed that every single thing in that building was important. Chairs were from Malaysia, tables from somewhere, the boards and the screens and this and this and this. To the extent when I went to the toilet, I found the urinals and the bathroom, what do you call it, sanitary ware, was also important. So I asked the head of that, I asked the manager of that, who was also an old student of mine from GE Protonville. I told him, why do you import this stuff? We have Indian companies which make perfectly good, absolutely world-class sanitary ware. We've got Indian companies which make chairs and tables and this and this and this. I said, you are setting up this multi-million-dollar facility in Bangalore. Why don't you support Indian business? He tells me, sir, what you say is absolutely right. I completely agree with you, we should do that. But this is our national policy. This is our international policy. This is a global policy. We have certain suppliers, we buy from them only. मैंने कहा तुमने सजेस्ट किया क्या? तो ही सर नहीं सर वो हाँ हूँ कर. तो मैंने कहा तुम इंडिया लेके क्या है? As an Indian, ऐसे मेरे को क्या जरूरत पड़ी? I am here to teach a course. What? How the hell does it matter? Why am I asking this question? लेकिन तुमको बोलना तो चाहिए ना. तो मेरे को बोलता है सर यहाँ पे सिवाय हमारे चपड़ा से कोई इंडियन नहीं है. He said only वो जो तलवार है और जो गेट वाला है वही. उसके अलावा he said everyone here is on international salaries. Everything is important. The reason I am saying this to you is I am not bad talking them, let them do what they want, but the reality is that multinational companies do not support local communities. And this is true across the world. Who supports local communities? Small businesses. छोटा बिजनेस वाला है वो भाजी तरकारी वहां से खरीदेगा, उसके घर वहीं से चलेगा, उसका लड़का उसी स्कूल में जाएगा, वो they support community. So if we can create small businesses, you are strengthening the backbone of the economy, you are creating a middle class, you are creating surplus income, you are enhancing people's buying power, and you are creating a complete economy. और आपको लगेगा कि छोटा छोटा बिजनेस से क्या होता है? I'll give you another my experience for this. In 84, there is something called the Prince of Wales Commonwealth Fund from England. They ran a project in Delhi where they gave interest-free loans to small businesses. As a small business का, when they said small business, तो मेरे ध्यान में था कि okay, maybe there is factory or you know what the small businesses, the kind of small business they're talking about. They're talking about the istri वाला. जो ठेले पे istri करता है आदमी आगे. So he's talking about that is the level. Very, very, very small businesses. So small istri वाला वो ये. The biggest one was a guy with a printing press. तो छोटा सा press था, बिल्कुल छोटा था. तो in East Delhi, तो ये program उन्होंने शुरू किया था. They did a very interesting thing. What they did was that they took each of these small businessmen and they paired him up with somebody who had a better education and so on. Couple of them were also IPS officers who they were paired with, but most of them were other businessmen. तो जैसे एक small businessman है, वो इस्त्री वाला जैसे है, और उसका partner मुझे बनाया थे, मिसाल के तौर पर. तो they had a meeting, सबको बुलाया. The reason was, they said, well, you know, you with your better education, maybe you can help this guy to think better and maybe develop his business and so on and so on. Yes, that was the rationale behind it. ये program start हो गया. 3 years later it came for valuation. तो valuation में जब आया तो वो through various things, वो I was asked to go and value. तो मैं गया. This was in July in East Delhi. And you can imagine the temperatures, the humidity, and it was one of the toughest things that I've ever done. Very, very, very difficult. And गलियाँ इतनी पतली पतली गलियाँ के वहाँ पे तो मारुति भी उसमें गाड़ी ना जाए तो
ख्याल भी नहीं था।
ख्याल ही नहीं। बिल्कुल। मैं तो पहली बार मुझे पता कि ये दिल्ली है भी कोई चीज़। वहाँ पे तो पैदल हम थे। वहाँ जब गए तो I found a very interesting thing. Invariably, I would go and I would sit with a guy. छोटा है मगर हमारे लोग बड़े दिल के होते हैं। जैसे आप गए कि बोले सर आप चाय पिए, तो आपके साथ कह रहे थे वो चाय चैम्बर, तो बोले चाय तो बैठे। हमने साहब से क्या हमने कहा ये अच्छा कैसे चला है, बिल्कुल ठीक चल रहा है सर। हम बराबर वो किस्त भर रहे हैं सर, हमने डिफॉल्ट नहीं किया सर। तो उसका फर्स्ट थॉट इन हिज माइंड इज कि मेरे को पकड़ने वाला है। तो मैंने कहा भाई तुमने डिफॉल्ट नहीं किया, हम तो आपसे बात करने के लिए हमारा कोई इससे ताल्लुक नहीं है। अच्छा सर, तो हमने कहा ये बताइए कि जो आपके जो पार्टनर हैं, जो जिस साहब के साथ आपका वो हुआ है, तो वो पार्टनरशिप कैसी चल रही है? सर वो साहब बड़े अच्छे साहब हैं। मैंने कहा ये नहीं, मैं आपसे पूछ रहा हूँ, मैं पूछ रहा हूँ कि आपकी जो पार्टनरशिप है ये कैसे चल रही है? तो आप उधर तो देखेगा। सर भाई क्या हुआ? बोला सर मैं कंप्लेन नहीं कर रहा हूँ सर। ठीक है, आप कंप्लेन कहाँ से कर रहे हैं? मैं तो आप सवाल कर रहा हूँ, तो है क्या बताइए। तो सर ऐसा है, वो तो बड़े साहब हैं, तो बड़ी कोठी में रहते हैं और दफ्तर उनका इतनी बड़ी बिल्डिंग में है। कहा सर वो शुरू में तो लोगों ने हमको मिलाया था और हम 1-2 बार गए तो वहाँ वो दरबार ही हमको आगे जाने नहीं था सर। और हमने कहा हम साहब से मिल रहा है, तो चल साहब से क्या मिलेगा, अपॉइंटमेंट है तेरे पास? तो सर हमारे पास अपॉइंटमेंट कहाँ से? एंड आई एम टॉकिंग अबाउट 83-84, कोई मोबाइल का नंबर था नहीं कुछ। तो मैंने कहा तुम ऑफिस में नहीं गए क्या? बोला सर वो ऑफिस तो उससे वो खराब है। तो मैंने कहा क्या किया तुमने? दैट वाज द की थिंग। मैंने कहा तुमको एडवाइस की जरूरत है? एडवाइस की जरूरत थी सर। मैंने क्या किया? कहा सर हम साहब से पूछ लिया, ये कौन सा बाजू दुकान वाला है? सर हमने इनसे पूछा ये कौन है? ये हमारे मामा जी हैं। अरे तुम्हारे मामा को क्या? नहीं सर वो बिजनेस नहीं जानते मगर वो बड़े बुद्धिमान है सर, तो हमारी कोई एडवाइस हमको चाहिए, हम उससे पूछ रहे थे। And I discovered that there was a complete support system within themselves, which means they don't need people like us. In any case, accessing us is a big problem. So if you create this, which is give them vocational training and give them the money to start off, there is existing in our country, thanks to our joint family systems, thanks to how our society is organized in a within quotes rural framework, even where we live in urban centers, we have this whole network of relationships that supports this very well. So ये एक काम करने से we can solve this huge issue which is looming in front of us. पर करना पड़ेगा, जल्दी करना पड़ेगा. Talking about women's equality. This is the India figures, and you might be happy to know or sad to know that the global figures are almost exactly the same. United States, Europe, depends on आपको चाहे खुशी हो रही हो कम हो रहा है, साथ में इकट्ठे सब डूब रहे हैं. So which is 25% less money for the same job for women compared to men for the same job, and that's the gender pay gap from Basic India. How are you? Now I'm telling you, I'm about to ask you or tell you why I brought this thing into this. Supposing I tell you, you're all police officers. Supposing I tell you that I can name for you an organization that is responsible for the deaths of between 7 to 8 lakh Indians per year. 7 to 8 lakh Indians are being killed. They're not dying of natural causes. They are being killed here in this organization. Are you ready to designate that as a terrorist organization or not? Are you ready to do something about this? Are you ready to put them in jail? Are you ready to hang them? Yes or no? 7 to 8 lakhs per year अगर कोई मार रहा है तो as police officers आप क्या करेंगे? वो terrorist organization बोलेंगे नहीं बोलेंगे? Seven lakh deaths per year due to smoking, 8 to 9 per year due to all other forms of tobacco exposure, and most, what is the word? I don't know. Ashok bhai. More than 50% under the age of 70. Now, please understand also that by the time a person actually dies of lung cancer, he is not performing at peak efficiency till the day he drops. So you're looking at an efficiency and productivity drop which is for maybe a decade or more or 2 decades before the person actually dies. It's a slow, painful death, but it's legal because it makes money. We're linking back to the issue of the cancer cell. We're looking back to the issue of the 1%. As long as it makes money, it is legal no matter what else it does. We talk about human trafficking. One of the major areas of that, or one of the major outcomes of that is this. And that's why George Orwell's, from his book 1984, the further a society drifts from the truth, the more it will hate those that speak it. So now, what needs to happen? And we need to change our world. So that's, we'll come to the solutions. I submit to you that the single most important change to transform the world is to move from the world is responsible for me to I am responsible for the world. And that's why I began by saying that I'm speaking to you as individual global citizens in which all of us are equal. Basically, if you want me to say this in 2 words, move from entitlement or consumption to contribution. Move from consumption to contribution. This is the mental shift, the switch in our minds that we need to make, and this is the switch and mental shift in our minds that we need to create in our next generation, into our children, because that's the second generation. This is the influencing that we need to do as far as that is concerned. And for that, sir.
Competition to collaboration.
Competition to collaboration. Yeah, beautiful. Competition to collaboration. So consumption to collaboration, competition to collaboration. Now, for that I have this concept of mine, which I call moving from victim to master. So master or victim, I call these the stances of success. I submit to you that in the life of every person, every man and woman comes a time when there is a unique opportunity to make an impact and change the world. A window opens in the life of every one of us. Those who succeed are those who can anticipate that opening and take advantage of that. The key thing about this window, the window shuts. And then effectively our life is over, even if we remain alive. Because to live is not only to draw breath. Living is not only breathing. Now what must we do therefore? So I submit to you that the essential truth is that we need to make choices. Choosing to be a master instead of choosing to be a victim. Now you might say, well, who in his right mind will choose to be a victim? I agree with you, we don't actively choose that, but many times, default, we take victim stances. The key thing to do is to understand that and then to make the change. And the reason we need to make the change is because both of the stances are subject to the same boundary conditions, but the implications are completely different. Who are victims, who are masters? In one word, victims are those who complain. And masters are those who say, if this is the case, what can I do? That is the mental shift. That's the stance. Victims complain. If we just read that we generally hear around us, which do you think we hear more of? People complaining, or people saying, given the situation, what can I do to change my world at least? I'm not saying not the entire universe, but my own world. What do we hear more of? I don't think I need to answer that. I mean, you know what we're talking about. And that's why I say problems need solutions, not complaints. So what is the price of my success? If I want to be a master, what is the investment that I need to make in myself? And why is that important? Because if we are clear about the reward, then it takes us through the pain of working to attain that reward. There are three things that we need to do, and I'll tell you three stories about this. True stories. Three critical commitments we need to make to ourselves. One is a commitment to truth. Second one is a commitment to compassion. And the third one is a commitment to responsibility. Because in the end, it's not about anybody else, it's about me. There's a wonderful story about a village in Korea, fishing village, where they used to dive for pearls. Now in this village there was a mother and daughter. These two, they lived there. The mother was very, very old and she was blind. And his daughter was her only resource in life. So this young lady, she used to dive, and every day from her collection of pearls, she would put aside a few of the choicest pearls in a bag for some adversity or some bad times if they come. These villagers, they would dive for pearls, they would get the pearls, and once in a month there was a pearl dealer who used to come to the village who would buy these pearls from these people and pay the money. Now one day, this girl, she went diving, and unfortunately that day she got attacked by a shark and she died. So this old lady, the mother, she was absolutely devastated because पहले तो दुनिया में उसका कोई और था नहीं सिवाय उस लड़की के, और दूसरा उसकी रोजी रोटी का भी जरिया वो लड़की ही थी, और ये तो बुढ़िया थी, अंधी भी थी, तो कर भी कुछ नहीं सकती काम। तो खैर बेचारी बहुत दुखी थी, बहुत गम उसने उसको हुआ और जो हुआ। But anyway, after some time, जो जीता है उसको जीना है। So she remembered this bag of pearls that her daughter used to keep. तो वो थैली मोतियों की लेके वो उस डीलर के पास गई और कहा कि ये मेरे साथ हुआ है और ये मेरी है पूंजी, तो इसको आप खरीदिए और मुझे पैसे दीजिए। तो उस डीलर ने वो पर्ल सब लेके he put them on his table and he was grading them, और उसका असिस्टेंट जो था वो देख रहा था। तो उन मोतियों में एक काला मोती था। Now you know that black pearl is very rare, and so the value of a black pearl is many times that of a regular pearl. उस डीलर ने ये सारा ग्रेडिंग करके उस बुढ़िया को उसने पूरा दाम दिया सारे मोतियों का, और पूरा दाम दिया उस काले मोती का। तो अब वो बुढ़िया को पैसा लेकर चली गई। तो उसका असिस्टेंट जो था उसने कहा, सर मुझे समझ नहीं आई बात। तो उसने कहा क्या? कहा कि आपने उस बुढ़िया को ये पूरे मोतियों का पूरा पैसा दिया और काले मोती का भी पूरा पैसा आपने उसको दिया। तो उसने कहा इसमें समझने की क्या बात है? उसने कहा सर देखिए, वो बुढ़िया तो जानती भी नहीं थी कि इसमें काला मोती है। अगर जानती होती तो आपको बोलती कि देखो भैया इसमें काला मोती भी है, उसको पता भी नहीं था। और मैं ये नहीं करा कि आपको चुराना चाहिए था, मगर आप अगर उस बुढ़िया को आपने उसको बहुत सारा ढेर सारा पैसा उसका आपने दिया, अगर आप उसको नॉर्मल पर्ल का जो सादे मोती का पैसा उसको आप काले मोती के लिए भी दे देते तो उसको तो पता भी नहीं चलता, वो तो अंधी है और उसको पैसा भी मिल जाता और आपको तो दुगना तिगना प्रॉफिट मिलता था। तो आपने क्यों नहीं किया? उस आदमी ने कहा कि तेरी बात सही है, बुढ़िया अंधी थी मैं अंधा नहीं हूँ। देखा बुढ़िया दी, मैं अंधा नहीं हूँ। And that is what I mean by commitment to truth. In the end, it is not about somebody else. It's about me. सब होना चाहिए, चाहे एक भी हो। और मतलब वो नहीं है, ये कितने लोग होते हैं। सवाल ये है कि आप और हम हैं क्या? अगर मैं हूं तो काफी है मेरे लिए, चाहे दूसरा कोई हो या नहीं हो। तो बहुत अच्छा सवाल है एंड वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट। दिस इज व्हाट वी नॉर्मली थिंक कि कौन कर रहा है, कोई कर रहा होगा, नहीं कर रहा होगा, मुझे करना चाहिए। अगर एंड स्पेशली इफ यू आर द ओनली वन, मैं ये कहता हूं कि अगर आप अकेले हैं तो यकीनन आपको ये तो करना ही करना है। क्योंकि अगर दूसरा कोई कर रहा है, मैं कहता अफजल भी करता है, ये भी करते हैं, सर भी करते हैं, तो चलो हम करें या नहीं करें क्या फर्क पड़ता है, कोई ना कोई करता है। मगर जब आप ही हैं अकेले दुनिया में, तो आपको खड़ा होना तो और भी ज्यादा जरूरी है। दूसरी कहानी, तुम इतना कहानी भगो रहे हो तो कैसा होगा? अच्छा, दूसरी कहानी जो है, हम जब अहमदाबाद, तो हमारे ऑर्गेनाइजेशन बिहेवियर साइंस के प्रोफेसर थे, प्रोफेसर पुलिन गर्ग। तो ये उनकी कहानी है, उन्होंने मुझे हमको हमारी क्लास सुनाया। तो पुलिन गर्ग ने he said to us that Ford Foundation had set up a rural development project in UP। तो एक गांव उन्होंने अडॉप्ट किया और उस गांव में सिर्फ बड़ा सिंपल था, वो ये कि जो हल होता है ना, तो हल का जो हिस्सा जो प्लाउशेयर जिसे बोलते हैं, जो जमीन में खोदने जाता है उसको, हाँ जी, आयरन, हाँ, तो वो आयरन यूज करती थी। वो जो ट्रेडिशनल तरीका वो लकड़ी का था, तो उसके बजाय आयरन का यूज करते। तो अब ये वो उन्होंने किया, तो वो विलेज में उन्होंने अडॉप्ट किया। दे टुक एक्सपेरिमेंटल फील्ड्स, उनके कंट्रोल प्लॉट्स एंड सो ऑन, and over 3 cycles they proved to the villagers that they would get 20% more crop by using an iron plowshare। ये इनको साबित करके दिखाया कि आपको 20%, 15 to 20% आपको क्रॉप ज्यादा आती है, क्योंकि वो अच्छा खोदता है बराबर। एंड देन जाते समय उन लोगों ने, जितने भी गांव के लोग थे काश्तकार, they gave them as a gift that many iron plowshares कि आपको खरीदने की भी जरूरत नहीं पड़े, ये आपको हम तोहफा दे रहे हैं। वो लेके चले गए। 3 साल के बाद में प्रोजेक्ट केम फॉर इवैल्यूएशन। फोर्ड फाउंडेशन पीपल केम, और वहां जब वो लोग आके देखे तो उनको इतना आश्चर्य हुआ कि नोबडी इज यूजिंग द आयरन प्लॉशर। वो पुराना तरीके से काम कर रहा है। अब ये बड़े परेशान हुए, तो इन्होंने दे कॉल दी बैठा मीटिंग किया मुखिया के साथ। तो वो जो मुखिया वाला सब बिठाए पंचायत, उनसे मीटिंग किया, उनसे कहा भाई क्या कुछ तकलीफ आपको? नहीं सर कोई तकलीफ नहीं। तो भाई हम आप लोगों को आके हमने जो दिखाया इस पे आपको विश्वास नहीं है? कहे सर आप लोग तो बड़े महान हैं, आप अमेरिका से आए और यहाँ पे आके हमारे गांव में इतनी तकलीफ आपने उठाई। उन्होंने कहा भाई ये सब रहने दीजिए, आपको ये बताइए कि हमने जो बताया आपको उस पर आपको विश्वास है कि नहीं है? कहा सर बिल्कुल विश्वास है सर, 100%। कैसे? हमने आंखों देखा, हमने खुद देखा है, विश्वास कैसे नहीं हो सकता? तो उन्होंने कहा फिर आपने इस्तेमाल क्यों नहीं किया? तो सर वो ऐसे वैसे जवाब नहीं देते। अच्छा, इन्होंने पूछा कि वो हमने जो आपको दिए ग्लव्स, उसका क्या किया आपने? कहा सर बिल्कुल सुरक्षित है सर, आप आगे देखिए। तो वो एक झोपड़ी में उसको रखा हुआ है, यानी कि हम उनको बेच के क्यों नहीं, वो बेचा वही बड़ा सुरक्षित। सर आपका बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद। अब वो दोस्त पीपल वर कंप्लीटली फ्लॉक्स, दे हैड नो क्लू क्या व्हाट इज हैपनिंग एंड यू नो हाउ आर पीपल हैव यू। तो दैट्स वेयर पुलिन गर्ग यूज्ड टू बी, पुलिन वाज अ कंसल्टेंट टू फोर्ड फाउंडेशन। So he understood. So there he said to them, I'll go and find out. तो वो पुलिस सेट के मैं गया, तो वहाँ प्लीज देयर दैट डे कहा, वो हमको वहाँ पे उन्होंने बड़ी हमारी भावभगत की, खाना ना खाए सब किए। और हमारे कल्चर में यू डोंट गो स्ट्रेट ऑफ सब क्या प्रॉब्लम है ऐसा थोड़ी पूछते हैं, नहीं पूछता है भाई। तो उन्होंने खाना खाया, गिरा बोला, बैठे उका पिए और उसका सो गए। दूसरे दिन सुबह में पंचायत बुलाई, वो भी जानते हैं क्यों आए। तो इन्होंने कहा कि मुखिया जी से कहा, मुखिया जी और पंचायत के लोगों से कहा भैया ये बताओ कि आखिर हिस्सा क्या है? इन लोगों ने जो आपको दे के आपको पसंद नहीं किया? नहीं सर बहुत पसंद है, बड़े अच्छे लोग थे, ऐसा था। देखा वो सब सही, हम भी जानते हैं अच्छे लोग हैं। ये बताइए आप इसको क्यों नहीं इस्तेमाल कर रहे हैं? दैट इज व्हाट आई वांटेड टू नो। उसने कहा, उस मुखिया ने कहा कि सर हमारे गांव में एक बढ़ाई का खानदान है, कारपेंटर का खानदान है। हम ये इस्तेमाल करेंगे तो उनकी रोजी रुक जाएगी। कैसे इस्तेमाल? Police says to me, says to us, he says, I am a management consultant. तो हम तो कंसल्टेंट की ऐड से बात कर रहे थे। तो उन्होंने कहा वो तो सिंपल है, बड़ा आसान है तरीका। तुमको 20% ज्यादा क्रॉप मिलता है भाई, 20% तुम्हारी आमदनी बढ़ जाएगी ये करने से। तो उसमें से उन पढ़ाई लोगों को जो उनकी एनुअल जितनी भी उनकी इनकम है वो तुम उनको दे दो। वो बोलता है मुझे he said कि उस मुखिया ने जो जवाब दिया मैं इतना शर्मिंदा हुआ। मुखिया ने कहा कि आप तो हम बोला तुम तो अपने लगते हो मगर लगता कुछ अलग है। पुलिस ऑफिस वगैरह होती है वो ओनली आई एम प्रोफेसर वगैरह होती तो पुलिस होती क्या तो लगते तो अपने हो मगर लगता अलग हो। मैं कहा सर क्यों ऐसे बोलो? भैया वो पढ़ाई है, भिखारी नहीं है, उनकी इज्जत का सवाल है, वो दान नहीं देते, वो काम करते हैं, दान नहीं देते। So what happens? The entire village decides to have a lower income in order to support one family in that place. So whenever anyone tells me global village, you must have heard this term, global village. So I say to them, we have to become a global village. We are not a global village. Global village is not a function of communication. It's not a function of the speed of transportation. It's a function of a state of mind where every individual in the village feels responsible for the other individual.
Indirectly it retards the growth.
Depends on what you define as growth. Growth for the sake of growth is the philosophy of the cancer cell. Growth in the sense of everybody is comfortable, everybody is doing well, and we are growing compassion. We are growing mutual responsibility. ये भी चीज़ है. So definition of growth. Third story, issue of responsibility. Who is responsible? This again a true story. There is a writer called Lauren Isley. Laureneisely. Lauren Isley. वो उसका हिस्सा है, उसने सुनाया. He said that he had gone on holiday to a beach resort, and that night there was a very big storm, and next morning the whole beach was littered with debris from the sea, all kinds of garbage thrown. And he said in that debris were literally thousands of starfish which had been thrown up from the bottom of the sea. That's the beach was done. So he said, I was walking along and I saw in the distance there was somebody, looked like a young person, who was bending down and doing this kind of a motion. So Lord Nadi thought that first it is maybe somebody doing some exercise or dancing or something. He said, as I got close there, I saw it was a little boy, it was a young boy, and he was picking up these starfish and throwing them into the sea. So Lord Nadi says that I asked the boy, I said, what are you doing? So most of us have this habit of, we see what people are doing, then we still ask them, what are you doing? So he said, what are you doing? So he had a starfish in there. He said, I am throwing these into the sea because if the sun comes out and they dry out, they will die. And on dry land, they cannot move. So Lord Nadi said that I told the boy, I said, look, turn around. He said, look behind you. Look at the beach. How many starfish are there? You can't even count. And he said, this is one beach. How many beaches are there in the world? How many thousands of square miles of beach are there in the world? And on those beaches, annually, when there are storms, how many millions of starfish are being thrown up? He said, you are one little kid. What difference can you make? What difference does it do? Lord Nadi said, the boy looked at me. He looked at the starfish in his hand. He threw it into the sea. And he said it made a difference to that one. Yes. Lord nicely says, I walked away. I walked for a long time. Then I turned around. I came back to the boy. And he and I threw starfish into the sea for hours after that. The point is this. We have a problem. especially people like me, educated, especially if you go to business schools, which is we tend to globalize problems. And the reason we globalize problems, the unconscious part of it is, it then legitimizes our own inaction. अरे मैं क्या करूं? पूरे देश का हमने ठेका लिया है क्या? तो आपको किसी ने बोला देश का ठेका लो? सारे भूखों को हम खाना खिलाए क्या? सारा को एक को खिलाओ, एक को खिला सकते हो? We globalize problems because it legitimizes our own inaction. It somehow makes me feel comfortable to do nothing because after all, इतना बड़ा problem मैं क्या कर सकता हूँ? Solution is localize the problem, take a master stance and say, forget the global aspect of it. Not that the global aspect is not true. All of that is true. There are millions of square miles of beach. There are millions of starfish, blah blah blah. All of that is true. गलत नहीं है, झूठ नहीं है. But at the same time, is there something I, Mirza Yawar Baig, is there something I can do? And the answer is, as long as I am breathing and alive, answer is always yes. Always, always yes. No matter who you are, no matter how powerful you are, no matter how powerless you are, no matter how rich, poor, strong, कोई भी फर्क नहीं पड़ता. There is always something that I as an individual can do. And as I said, especially if you are the only one doing it, then you jolly well make sure that you are doing it, because you are the only one doing it. So 3 stories. And therefore, I want to request all of us to think about our own lives. I'm not asking you, it's not a question answer after this. You can ask me questions, but I'm not going to ask you any questions. But just to think about this and say that what is it that we can do in our own lives, where we can make a difference to somebody or something. And that does not mean you're not already doing that. I'm sure a lot of you are doing many things. But can we add to that? Can we do something more? Because the scope is enormous. In all my years of, I've been doing this work of leadership development and training now from 1985 onwards. And by the grace of God, I have traveled to many different countries. I have clients in many different countries. I talk to all kinds of people, all walks of life, ages, across the world. And one thing that I have learned is the power of hope. The power of hope. No matter in which situation that you are in, it is the power of hope that sustains the human being. It's not therefore the size of the body, but it's the size of the heart. हमारे पास तो बहुत बड़े दिल वाला है. Does not mean he has an enlarged heart which needs everybody. बड़े दिल वाले के बारे में यही कहते हैं, enlarged heart नहीं. बड़े दिल वाला है. दिल बड़ा करना बहुत जरूरी है. और दिल ऐसा है कि इतना बड़ा हो सकता है आप सारी दुनिया को उसमें लगा सकते हैं. ये भी बहुत, that's also possible. या इतना छोटा हो सकता है कि आपका भाई भी आपके दिल के अंदर नहीं रहता. Most of the lawyers in our country are running very professional and very profitable practices because आपके दिल में आपके भाई के लिए जगह नहीं है. तो कचहरी में जाना पड़ता है, कोर्ट में, ऑफिशियल बिल को तोड़ने के लिए, है कि नहीं? वो that is the issue of hope. Therefore, the power of one. Who's that one? Who's that one? I want to end with 2 quotes, one of Martin Luther King and one of my own. Cowardice asks the question, is it safe? Expediency asks the question, is it politic? Vanity asks the question, is it popular? But conscience asks the question, is it right? There comes a time when one must take a position that is neither safe, nor politic, nor popular. But one must take it because it is right. And my quote on this is, that's why I say to myself that this is my gift to you, I will not allow what is not in my control to prevent me from doing what is in my control. Because no matter how powerful or powerless I may be, there will always be something which is not in my control, and there will always be something which is in my control. And I submit to you that let us focus on that which is in our control. And if enough of us do that, then that which is not in our control currently will become in our control. इसके बाद दूसरा जो बनते हैं and this is my gift to you before I close. I call this the power of one. And what is that one? 1 degree more. I submit to you that the difference between good and excellence is not a big difference. It's a difference of just 1 degree. At 99 degrees, water is hot. At 100 degrees, it boils. Boiling water produces steam. Steam can power an engine. A difference of 1 degree. At 99 degrees, nothing will happen. At 100 degrees, the train moves. In 2012 Chinese Olympics, the difference between the gold medal and no medal, I'm not talking about gold and silver, gold and bronze, gold medal and no medal, the difference was 0.25 seconds, 1/4 of a second. In the Indy 500 2015 race, the difference between the first and second position was 0.1 second. Difference in prize money was $1,656,000. So only 1 degree separates the good from the great. Between growing up and growing old, there is a short window during which we can make a difference. Once that closes, then effectively our life is over, even if we remain alive. My question to you, what differentiates the lion from the antelope? The same thing which differentiates normal light from laser light. That is called the same thing which differentiates leaders from the rest, and that is focus. Normal light illuminates, at best, laser cuts through steel. It's the same thing, except one is focused. What is focus? It's the art of ignoring fluff. Today our life is overwhelmed with fluff. All kinds of stuff. Especially WhatsApp पे तो हम सभी सबके सब सबसे बड़ा दोषी है. I submit to you that if you want to get what you never had, you have to do what you never did. If you always do what you always did, you will always get what you always got. Results come from actions, and actions define you. It's your life, it's my life, and you and I are responsible for the results. You are now aware and you have a target, and the target is what? 1 degree more. That's it. Not talking about changing your life, just 1 degree more. And therefore, 5 things I want to submit to you. 5 realities that we must face. We become what we think. Our mind is like a fertile field. It doesn't care what you plant in it, but it will give you whatever you put in it. You plant wheat, you get wheat. You plant rice, you get rice. You plant wheat, you want rice, you know it. Second one is attitude. What is attitude? Attitude is to understand that your present circumstances do not decide if you will succeed or fail. They only decide where you need to start. That's it. Third is faith. What is faith? I'm not talking about religious belief. That also is faith, but I'm talking about faith in a different perspective. I like to use this quote of Barbara Winter's. When you come to the end of the light of all that you know and are about to step off into the darkness of the unknown, faith is knowing that one of 2 things will happen. There will be something firm to stand on, or you will be taught how to fly. And that's why we need to take risk. Number 4 is goal. What kind of goal? An extraordinary goal. Not an ordinary goal, an extraordinary goal. Because it's the nature of the extraordinary goal to inspire extraordinary effort. I'm sure many of you know many people who do motivational talks, but have you ever heard of anyone doing a motivational talk at the base camp of Everest? No. Because when you are standing at the base camp of Everest as a climber, the mountain motivates you. You don't need a motivational talk. The extraordinary task. What's extraordinary about that? You might say Everest is 8 kilometers long. I will get out of this gate and I will walk 10 kilometers. Now give me a prize because I walked longer than Everest. And I tell you, sir, आपने तो पहाड़ थोड़ी चढ़ा है, तो आप कहेंगे उससे क्या होता है? वो धरती पे तो चला था, हवा में थोड़ी उड़ रहा था। ये भी धरती तो है। धरती से कुछ नहीं होता, धरती के एंगल से होता है। And the last one is perseverance. So what is perseverance? For success is nothing more than this: to rise every time you fall. As they say, the Chinese proverb, if you fall 7 times, get up 8 times. It's as simple as that. And that's why we come to this, back to my old slogan, I will not allow what is not in my control to prevent me from doing what is in my control. And with that I end, and बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद आपका. I am very very grateful to you. Thank you very much for the opportunity. And thank you very much.